When October 7th happened, the first thing that I thought, and I talked to anyone who would listen to me, was that Putin knew about it, that it was a plan. And then I heard a top advisor to Zelensky, Igor Zogba, who said that he was speaking for the continued need to support Ukraine, and he said it wasn't a mistake that October 7th the attack happened because it was Putin's birthday on that day. And he said that some of Hamas has been trained by Russian Wagner mercenaries fighting against Ukraine, and he said that Ukraine and Israel wars are not separate wars, that what's happening now is a hybrid World War III, and that they're doing it to weaken the United States. And I wonder if you agree with that this is just a big plan, and shouldn't we call out some of the people in the GOP that will not support, continued support for Ukraine?
Yeah, look, I don't know about Putin's birthday and all the rest of that being the plan, but I absolutely believe that, as I said off the top, that this is all coordinated. These are the four evil dictatorship countries in the world with the most power: China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And their goal, both individually and collectively, is to diminish the United States' influence around the world so they can fill that vacuum. And so I absolutely agree with what the person you quoted from Zelensky's government said. And remember, everybody, I went to Ukraine also. A month after I got into the election, I went to Ukraine. And I saw what was going on the ground. And I met for an hour with President Zelensky. And one of the things he said two things to me that he asked me to say anytime I get in front of a group of Americans. One, to say thank you. He said, we would be occupied by Russia right now if it wasn't for the United States of America and its people supporting us. And he said, second, tell them I will never, ever accept American troops into Ukraine. He said, we've been occupied by Russia. We didn't like it. And with all due respect, we don't be occupied by you either. All we want is for you to help us get the weapons that we need, and we'll take care of the Russians. And when you think about it, we've contributed 5% of 1 year's Pentagon budget to Ukraine in weapons, and they've degraded 50% of the Russian military. That's a pretty good return on investment, everybody, and not one drop of American blood at the same time. So, yes, look, last night to me was disappointing because the only two people on that stage who said we'd support Ukraine were me and Nikki Haley. Ron DeSantis gave the same kind of I don't know what the hell the answer was answer. I think the Europeans should do more. And Kristen Welker kept coming back and saying, so would you support aid for Ukraine or wouldn't you? And he wouldn't answer. Vivek Ramaswamy wants to make a deal with Putin. This is beauty. He wants to give Russia all the land they totally taken from Ukraine. He wants to promise Russia will never admit Ukraine to NATO. And in return, he's going to ask Putin to not talk to China anymore. It's so stupid. Is it any wonder he went to Harvard? I mean, seriously, right? I mean, good Lord Almighty. And Tim Scott now, who at the beginning of this race, in the first debate, was totally for helping Ukraine, now all of a sudden, apparently change of heart, now he doesn't want to deal with it. Look, this is not about politics. If we make it about politics, we're going to lose. This is about principle. What do we stand for? And who do we stand with? And I, last night on the stage, said, we made a promise in 1992. And nobody else on the stage talked about this last night. But 1992, when the Soviet Union fell at the end of 91, 92, a lot of Soviet nuclear missiles were still in Ukraine, because Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union then. The Ukrainians wanted to keep them. And the United States came to them and said, we don't want more nuclear proliferation. Can you please return the missiles to the Russians? And they said, we don't really trust the Russians. We prefer not. And we said, no, please give them back, because if you do, and they invade you, we'll protect you. A 31-year-old American promise is no less valid than a promise we make today. This is our promise. And do you think Russia would be in Ukraine today if they still had those nukes? I don't think so. So if you're Zelensky, you're saying, rightfully, look, I'm not asking you to send soldiers here. Just give us the arms we need to beat them, and we will. So I do believe it's all coordinated.
The war in Israel is a distraction with that Putin and Iran decided to do this.
Yes,
so
I do. But it can only be a distraction if we let it be. I think that's their plan. They want to distract us. But it's only a distraction if we let it be a distraction. If we say, no, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can support Israel and we can support Ukraine. We can do that. But if we let them distract us, then their plan is won. And guess what's going to happen? Something else is going to happen someplace else. They're just going to keep adding to it. Then what happens if China goes to Taiwan? Like, look, everybody, this is connected, and we have to be smart about it. And the only thing that will deter these folks is American strength and certainty. They got to know that we're going to do it. And I will promise you this. When I'm president, they will know. They will know.